Ladies and gents, welcome to CG Reaction. What? This is Bricky's Warhammer 40k re-explained video about Warhammer 40k factions. It is a 2-hour long video, and it's just part 1. Now, I love Bricky videos. Bricky videos, I don't know how to explain them. They're like a summarized version of things, which is like really well, and that's summarized, I guess. 2 hours part 1. That's how big Warhammer is. So I remember like all the Warhammer video I watched from Bricky. I don't know why he doesn't only do Warhammer. I guess he does other things as well. He has another channel, Adapters Ridiculous or something, podcast, where he talks about Warhammer a lot. But this is his main channel where he like compiles things, and like, I don't know what he's gonna say here, but I'm gonna guess this is gonna be like immensely detailed lore about different factions. Oh my god, I can't like Necrons. It's been a while since I did a Warhammer video. And this is a perfect way to get back to it. So let's voice one. Remember, if you like my reaction, don't forget to like and subscribe so I know which type of videos to react to more. If you haven't seen other Warhammer reactions I did, check out the link in the description. I'm pretty sure I created a playlist for it, or end video, end card, or whatever. And yeah, let's voice one.
Brightness of the far past, there was no war. Our galaxy was, for a long time, fairly empty and quiet. The first known species to appear during this time are known only as the Old Ones, cosmic entities that traveled across the galaxy with ease and seeded life through the stars. Shortly thereafter, a new species began to arise. The Necrontyr. Evolving under the harshness of a devastatingly powerful star, the short-lived and irradiated Necrontyr try to find the secret to eternal life and to be freed from their terrible existence. As they expand through the stars, they find the Old Ones, and they plead to them to share the secrets of the universe and grant them purchase from their short and painful existence. The Old Ones respond with a lol and a lamau, and with their immense power, they force them back.
I don't know why I love this, how he started from literally the start of things. War in the heavens. Of course, I love, he's gonna consistently keep the timeline, I'm gonna guess. I'm so giddy right now, I don't know.
To their homeworld. The Necrontyr, filled with rage and hatred, make it their duty to get revenge on the Old Ones. A revenge that would come swiftly as a chance encounter with other gods gave them a solution. These other gods were known as the C'tan, a race of highly powerful star-consuming entities. Do not fear, young mortals, for we, the C'tan, will provide you with the immortality you seek. Come now, won't you shake a poor sinner's hand? Quoted from Mephetron, the Deceiver. The Necrontyr accepted the C'tan's offer of immortality, but believe it or not, this turned out to be a ruse. A trick. The C'tan crafted gigantic furnaces and began the process of biotransference. The Necrontyr willingly walked line by line into the furnace engines made by gods who devour stars and had their souls consumed instead. The short-lived, irradiated, and cancer-inflicted race of the Necrontyr ceased to be, and the immortal, soulless Necrons remained. Now,
I mean, to be fair, if you're a race that devours stars, you're not gonna care about anyone else. It's like everybody's a bug to you. So the Deceiver or the screwed Necrons, like, this is not the same type of people. These are guards that devour stars. That's what we're dealing with. So of course they screwed these people all just for their benefit. I mean, just think about it. Like, look at the chickens, like how humans treat chickens. Oh, it's just food source. Like, jam them in some kind of like a fucking place. Doesn't matter if their anxiety is high, how their living conditions, who cares? We're just gonna eat them. I mean, is this any different?
Now backed by the immense power of the C'tan, the Necrons rally against the Old Ones, and the bitter conflict in the stars at this time is known as the War in Heaven. Despite creating various races and entities to aid them in this battle, the Old Ones are overwhelmed and eradicated down to the last, due to the sheer power of the C'tan fat.
Yeah, I love how they're just like orcs. Eldars, they were just created by, old ones to fight this war. Oh, it's just like the species that's gonna be a major player in the future in 40k and everything was just like created by old ones just so they can fight in this war. Eldars basically becoming so untouchable that they create a god. Orcs being orcs. I mean, come on. If orcs want, orc can fuck anything up. That's how their imaginary power is.
Off the souls of the Necrontyr and with an army of unthinkable robotic slaves at their behest. However, the Catan are greedy, spiteful gods, and when there was no foe worth killing, they turn on each other. The Necrons then put their sights towards the Catan and lay waste to them, securing their freedom. The once subservient Necrons now control their former masters. Worn out and weakened by these wars, the Necrons under their leader Zarek the Silent King lie dormant, with a plan to eventually wake and reclaim control over the galaxy. Over millions of years, empires rise and they fall. The species created by the Old Ones have footholds over the galaxy, but on a pale blue dot in the thick of all this conflict, humanity begins to evolve. And for the most part, the basic path of humanity's evolution remains the same as it is now for almost 15,000 years. Right now, in the 21st century, this is canon. You, right now, Twitch streamer reacting to this video, you existed at a point in the Warhammer universe. But with time, humanity's...
I don't get it. How do people do reaction videos on Twitch? Isn't that a gaming thing, or doesn't matter? Like whatever you do is just streaming service. That's it.
ambition and the power of their technology becomes unmatched, and the golden age of expansion begins. Humanity starts to branch out through the stars with powerful tools used for agriculture, mining, and expansion. Some branches of humanity would eventually settle far away from Earth itself, and around this time, the psychic ability of humans are greatly expanded, and what we begin to know as psychers appear. But despite all the progress, things would begin to collapse. The machines created to aid humanity would turn on them in M23, an event known as the Cybernetic Revolt, and trade would begin to collapse due to the immaterial warp, aka actual hell, beginning to cause ruptures in space and time. These warp stones would
I like how they just added Terminator element there, like why not?
separate humanity, and this would be what is known as the Age of Strife. The warp, a sea of souls, storing all thought, emotion, and the souls of those who have passed on, begin fluctuating into something terrible, as far on the horizon, something horrendous was brewing. You see, the warp isn't just a random assortment of chaotic energy. It is fairly well organized, thanks to those living in the galaxy. The warp itself acts as an afterlife of sorts, and the actions of the innumerable amount of creatures who live in the galaxy have manifested a pantheon of organized entities known as the forces of chaos. At their
Yes, it's literally immaterium. That's what they say. So there's material world, immaterial world. Even in science, when you realize like, okay, what most of dark matter, dark energy is like what 90+% of things, and like actual physical material we can think of is like very few percentage. So like even scientific base, there is a thing here, right? There's a material, immaterial, right? And in immaterial, like, humans are kind of like a same type of people, right? They have same type of emotion. In group, something emerges, like the similarity, right? That's why a lot of like group mentality comes from whenever there's like, I don't know, some kind of a concert. Everybody just, vibes to the same music. Like some kind of a rally, everybody has same kind of like mentality. So humans are somewhat similar in that way. So their emotions, everything they have, kind of have similar effect in the warp. So it makes sense why warp would be organized that way. The only way to warp to be chaotic is every humans be completely different. So it makes sense like something emerges in warp because humans are somewhat similar.
helm are three major entities: Khorne, Nurgle, and Tzeentch. However, a fourth one Slaanesh was about to be born. The ancient Eldar were one of the first species created by the Old Ones, and due to their extreme and unbridled excess, the birthing of Slaanesh tore a hole in the galaxy and forever split the Eldar into those of the craft world, who sought to bring their species back together, and those of the Drukhari, who wished to continue what caused the birth of Slaanesh in the first place. The birthing of this fourth Chaos God settled the warp storms of the Imperium and ended the age of strife, but humanity was still fractured. So one man revealed himself and spearheaded an immense attempt to reunite all the fractured pieces of humanity. That man was the Emperor of Mankind. After reclaiming the nearly destroyed Earth, the Emperor embarked on the Unification Wars to unite humanity under the banner of the Imperium man. However, due to the very long and devastating impact of the Age of Strife, humanity as we know it is not the same. To reconquer Earth, the Emperor would need more than mere men. Great beings, known as the Thunder Warriors, were recruited by the Emperor to reclaim the Earth with ease. But these warriors are a blunt tool and had, overstayed their welcome. He would need something better, and that solution would be known as the Space Marines. Superhuman soldiers that will have the skill and cunning exponentially greater than the mortal man. These new warriors would be commanded by an elite group of his very own sons known as the Primarchs. Unfortunately though, Daddy didn't charge the baby monitor, and his 18 sons would be stolen by the forces of chaos and scattered across the galaxy. This would begin...
You know what I think the first fuck up Warhammer TV show might do, Henry Cavill one, right? I'm pretty sure that's still happening. They talk about those two sons, and people will lose their shit. Any lore that try to manipulate, like, people will lose their shit. Like, why are you talking about that? Like, this is too much.
The Great Crusade, a monumental task to take back the stars in the name of humanity and reclaim the lost Primarch sons. However, he would need the fires of industry to make this happen. Looking to the distant cousins of Mars, the Emperor signed a treaty with the technologically irradiated hellscape of the Red Planet and allowed the cult of the machine god, the Mechanicum, to supply his crusade. While Space Marines were the tip of the spear, their numbers paled to the vast might of the Imperial Army and Navy. The Astra Militarum and their seemingly endless numbers make up the bulk of the fighting force for humanity, supplied by the intelligence and prowess of various agents of the Imperium, such as rogue traders and assassins. Due to the lack of connectivity between the worlds, what a society had become over thousands of years became mysterious and varied. Tools once used for harvesting and agriculture now are being used as machines of war in the form of Imperial Knights.
Okay, what if Imperium didn't have Mechanicus with them? Like, how they have adjusted? Like, they would have to create something completely new from their own thing, humans. Would they have been so powerful the way Imperium is? And now in 40k, or at least in the current update, they're barely surviving Imperium, right? So how bad would it have been if they had no Mechanicus with them? Like, that's something.
Some of these fractures of humanity would even be changed further and become unrecognizable to the average human, with differences in size, skin color, appendages, cat ears sometimes. Some would go so far to become their own galactic societies, like the miners of the galactic core and their immense supercomputers, forming the Leagues of Votan. After an incredible amount of effort and books, the lost sons of the Emperor would be reunited, and the Imperium of Man would be firmly established. This, however, would not last. Be it intentional or accidental, the Emperor would not reveal to his sons the true nature of the galaxy and the terrors of the warp. And this oversight would result in one of the most impactful wars in humanity's history. The favorite son of the Emperor, Horus, would fall to the power...
You know, every TV show you watch, doesn't matter if it's action or whatever badass is happening, there's always some kind of bullshit drama happening in the background. Oh, it's not about this, it's about you lied to me, you hurt my emotions. You know how they're like, the other is romance or bullshit like that. This is that. Oh, it's not, you know, it's not that this is all like all fucked up or something. No, it's that you hide from me. You lied to me, so Horus Heresy. That's what this is. This fits perfectly with some kind of a drama show.
Powers of chaos and turn on his father. This betrayal, this backstabbing, this heresy, this Horus Heresy would result in a split in the Imperium with devastating consequences. Half of the Emperor's loyal sons would fall to chaos and become the Chaos Space Marines, along with the forces of the Dark Mechanicum and the Chaos Knights. The conflict would result in the absolute obliteration of Horus and the physical death of the Emperor himself. The near-dead body of the Emperor would be placed on the Golden Throne to serve as a beacon of humanity and allow for the continued ability to travel the stars, protected by his most loyal, the Adeptus Custodes. The Imperium would be vulnerable during this age of rebirth, and Terra would find itself under siege by one of the most formidable species in the galaxy, the Orcs. As time went on and memories of the Emperor's vision began to fade, the Emperor would become less of a head of state and more of a religious figure, and the Imperium would change to reflect this. The leadership on a planet would be—
I like how Imperium is nothing more than a bunch of zealots nowadays, right? When Emperor didn't like any of that shit, just like religion and all that. No. But now he's just like, Emperor is a god and we are all just following in his footsteps, right? If you're lucky, Emperor will speak to us. They're basically zealots.
At the behest of the High Lords of Terra, and their actions would be courtesy of the incomparable power and authority of the Inquisition. The zealots of the Imperium would intensify and create a brand new era known as the Age of Apostasy. And this ecclesiarchal command of the Imperium would end up with one of the strongest fighting forces of Terra, the Adeptus Sororitas. Over time, this age would come to pass, and we would approach the 40th millennium of Warhammer 40,000. Which, you guessed it, would come with its own form of problems. A primitive species once found during a recon mission would be able to evolve in relative secrecy for 6,000 years, becoming a highly advanced coalition of aliens known as the Tau Empire. And if the threats of the galaxy weren't bad enough, there are threats from outside the galaxy, as a monster has begun to wrap its tendrils around the Milky Way. The Tyranids, monsters that serve a psychic hive mind and present tactics previously unseen in the Milky Way. Be it a direct assault with their monstrous bug-like presence or through the more covert gene stealer cults, the presence of yet another threat in the galaxy is proving to be overwhelming to the Imperium. In the 41st millennium, there is no—
I think, the first time I learned about Tyranid from Bricky and everyone, right, looting and things, only thing I could come across, like, okay, these are just basically bugs, how bugs would act, but at a big scale. But then I realized, with gene stealers and all that, like, there's complexity to that. I think one of the most misconceptions people would have about Tyranids is that they're just basic bugs. Like, no. Even at that scale, like, there's much more complexity behind that.
No peace among the stars. At any point, your life can and will be threatened by the Xenos races uncountable, or by the arch enemy of chaos within, or by the decroded terror that is the Imperium itself. It is to live in the cruelest and most bloody regime imaginable. Forget the power of technology and science, or the safety of promise and understanding. For in the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war.
He sort of kept going below maybe. Part 1 maybe.
A fantastic job once again, Mr. Kurz, the Night Haunter himself. Oh, didn't you love that, my faithful audience? Once again, we have another criminal over the course of 6 hours break every single bone in his body. And with that, once again, our glorious leader has brought the crime rate to 0%. Always brought to you here on the Strawman News. I'm your host, Bricky. Thank you once again for joining us. Our top stories for tonight. The weather forecast appears to be rainy with extra dark, so make sure you pack those extra batteries for your lamp packs. And of course, let's not forget the fantastic gang violence problem we're currently having. Oh, I'm sorry, what's that? Oh right, it's gone. It's looking to be a chilly one tonight as well, so make sure your skin capes are nice and tight. Wait, hold on, one moment. No. Adamantium reserves have tripled? Wait, I'm sorry, self-harm rates have gone down to 0%. The Night Haunter smiled? No. This could only mean one thing. It is the Strawman News' great privilege to bring some color back in your life with the brand new 3-part Gamer Supps drop exclusively on this here news network. That's right, your esteemed host Bricky, myself, is dropping a 3-part Gamer Supps release for pre-order available now.
I'm still hoping he still talks about the first faction, Conrad Curse. What Night Lords? Yeah, that one. That's such an awesome thing, man.
And only for a couple of weeks. Not only does it include a completely brand new artwork reskin of the Sweet 6-pack flavor, one of the highest selling flavors in the entirety of Gamer Supps, but it also comes with the first ever all over print Gamer Supps 32-ounce jug. And if that isn't enough for you, if the phenomenal drink and drink holder is not enough for you, we have a desk mat to go along with it. That's right, the Herculean look of the brand new Sweet 6-pack style is here. We're still looking at muscles beyond belief, but this time we're talking taste, we're talking Atlas, we're talking smooth. And if that wasn't enough, I, your co-host specifically, should you pre-order all 3 of these items, will personally hand sign a note for you, thanking you for supporting this network. All of this you can receive for 10% off if you go down in the description of this video and click the link, or go to gamersupps.com/Bricky and use code Bricky. Save 10% off with code Bricky. Bring some color back into your life and increase production across the board for our glorious leader, the Night Haunter. Thank you, Gamer Supps, for sponsoring the Strawman News, and let us move on to our next scheduled program. 5 years ago, I made every Warhammer 40k faction explained. A passion project of mine for a universe that I enjoyed so much. Its main purpose was to be a drawbridge, the separation between the layman who had only ever seen the big armored blue man situated neatly next to a Wetzel's Pretzels, and the hardcore Warhammer lore nerd. That was just too wide, and there was nothing bridging these two together. Since 2020, Warhammer has exploded in popularity thanks to COVID, quality game updates, and a few excellent video games, and a couple mini-series. The sheer volume of people who have told me they have purchased miniatures due to that video alone makes me feel as if Games Workshop owes me commission. However, that video is incomplete. I was not a casual fan, but I was also not a hardcore lore junkie. In the 5 years since that video's release, multiple channels have sprouted up, and the drawbridge between casual to the obsessed has never been wider or easier to traverse. Even I, myself, have been a part of Adeptus Ridiculous, a podcast teaching lore in a much simpler and condensed form. Needless to say, I've learned a lot. Warhammer is so much more than just Spaceman shoots big gun. It has also grown substantially from its origins, being a Warhammer Fantasy spin-off just in space. Now, it is a black library filled with immensely deep characters, difficult themes, and even some tear-jerking stories. It is a backdrop for a million stories over a million worlds, and I did not see its true depth in 2020.
It is so insane that you can take one place, insignificant place of insignificant time, and pick up one character, and that has so much content, it can be a proper movie. They can make that angle a movie. This Marvel universe, right, in Disney, like there are movies that branch into Disney Plus TV shows. This shit is nothing. If they do that with Warhammer at that scale, like, could you imagine that shit? And there could be like a finale level movie, like Avengers type movie for Warhammer, which covers like a big battles and big things that converge. This is the whole cinematic universe, right? Cinematic universe is what people are living for now, all the producers and all the movie people. Why are they not picking? What is Games Workshop doing? Like, grab some big director and producer and go with this. Come on. Have some partnership like that.
But now, I'd like to share what I've learned. We just had a brief summary of the world and each faction that takes place during it. And we did that because to truly understand each faction, we must understand what makes them the way they are. And to do so, we need to begin in chronological order, discussing their origins, their culture, their powers, and of course, what makes them oh so grimdark. So let's begin with the group that started it all and sing praise to the Infinite Empire. As mentioned before, the Necrontyr were the original form of the Necrons, an alien race far away from us that lived short, painful lives due to the irradiation of their star. Normally, this would manifest as like a sort of cancer, a space cancer of sorts. The Necrons are very much inspired by the ancient Egyptian aesthetic, but unlike the windswept dunes commonly associated with it, the irradiated hellscape the Necrontyr endured was far from picturesque. This also translates into their hierarchy. They are a race of nobles and peasants. Most of the peasants would often live for their very short amount of time, only a couple of decades, while the nobles tended to have better care and would live a little bit longer, but still far less than the average lifespan of a human, even today in the 21st century. The leader of the Necrons was Zarek, the Silent King. He was the one who took the deal with the Catan and the Deceiver. Of course, he wasn't aware of the fact that they were known as the Deceiver at the time, but the whole species was blinded.
Were they known as Deceiver at the time, or after this they got the name Deceiver?
By hate after being debased by the Old Ones on their quest to cure their illness. The sheer pain that underwent the Necron race can't be understated, as their fear was manic. The Catan are, of course, gods that eat stars, and when the leader of your species tells you to march into the gigantic green furnaces to ascend to immortality, you march. The scenes from the
Man, seriously, like every video from Major Kill, Bricky, Lutin, every video I watched, there's a picture I got of Necrontyrs, and their life was so shit. It's like depression is a small word when it comes to like how their lives were. It's resiliency of species is just like present there. Any other, like, especially modern humans right now, I don't think we would survive. I think deleting, like stat would go up. If this shit was happening right now to us humans, let's just say, that's so depressing. And in that shit, after all that depressing and sad shit, something like this come along, right? Like, because Old Ones just said, like, go fuck yourself, I'm not gonna do anything. So when shit like this happens, when like us or a god says, okay, go to the furnace, you're gonna be immortal, of course they're gonna go it, because their life is completely shit.
These are long lines of both the peasantry and nobles clutching their loved ones in a frantic act to save their own lives. Many of them already inflicted in the late stages of this space cancer, some of them crawling into the biotransference furnaces, trying to outrace death itself, without realizing death was the one who made these to begin with. What came out the other side was a soulless husk. And I say that literally. A soul is not an abstract concept like it is in our world, an immaterial version of oneself discussed and debated in religion and philosophy. No, in Warhammer, a soul is a real, tangible item of oneself. And the Catan basically were just like,
ooh, I watched so many videos, nobody explained that to me. I assumed soul is similar like how we think, but it's more real in this one. I'm not saying it's not real I don't know, I'm a very scientific guy. But in this one, it's like, oh, it's soul, I guess, something that goes to immaterial, it's soul, right? But no, it's a proper thing that makes you, basically consciousness is soul, could be the case here. I don't know consciousness, not completely, but somewhat, right? It makes you you, otherwise you're a husk. That kind of makes sense.
To every single person who went in their furnaces. If you were a peasant, you came out a Necron warrior, and you as an individual have ceased to be. You have no mind, you have no soul, and your body, as you know it, is made of an extremely advanced mass of re-knitting living metal known as necrodermis. You cannot think for yourself, for you do not have a brain to think with. All you do now is await protocols from your overlords, which are the nobles who came out of the furnaces with their minds intact. Not their souls, mind you, but their minds are very much intact. These nobles now have command protocols, and they are able to command all of their peasantry and do with them whatever they wish. Zarek, the Silent King, is the most advanced of all the Necrons, a perfect metallic version of himself with incredible power and intelligence. His strength allowed him to lead the undead and the unthinking armies of the Necrons to battle against the Catan when they were at their weakest due to their incessant infighting, and then win back their freedom. But gods cannot die. So in reality, what occurred is the Catan were shattered into thousands.
That is one thing I don't like about this Catan element. Like, they fought with each other, infighting. They are these gods that eat stars and have been alive for a long time during this time, right? War in the heavens. Like, after all this shit, after doing this Necrontyr shit, they just started to fight each other. Like, why? Right? That feels really primitive in a way. Like, these are like star devouring gods that can't be killed. Like, they're gonna start fighting each other. Like, I don't understand that. Where that psychology came from.
Of pieces, and each shard of their god was trapped in a stasis vault and mind controlled to do the bidding of the Necrons they once enslaved. The biggest challenge they face now are actually the upstarts of the galaxy. The Eldar and the Orcs were quite prominent, and as you can imagine, a galactic war really takes its toll on the joints, or I guess the servos. It was in their best interest to wait out the galactic rise of the other races and come back at a more opportune time. So they went into stasis via these massive tomb complexes hidden beneath various worlds, biding their time until it was once again their opportunity to rule the galaxy.
Yeah, they basically took the route of a gopher. It should become too much. Let's go underground. That's what they did. I guess the number was like really small, and orcs being orcs and Eldars were kind of becoming like, over the top. They decided later, we'll deal with them later, because we just went from Catan shit, like, okay, let's calm down. And they have these Catan shards and all that, basically making them like really godlike, controlling planet-sized things and God knows what, which they're doing in 40k, I guess, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, when you realize like Necrontyrs, literally shit of a race, that was completely depressing, went from that to like defeating one of the most powerful gods and becoming godlike, and going to slumber. Of course, when they come back, they're going to have a lot of ambitions, which they did come back in 40k. Not completely, but still.
Zarek, the Silent King, as penance for his failure to his people, exiled himself into the darkness between stars for the next 60 million years, with his perfect memory a constant reminder of the doom he inflicted upon his people. Flash forward to the modern day, and the Necrons are reawakening, but it isn't working as well as it could be. Whether the tomb world is reawakened naturally or by some imperial moron stepping...
I mean, of course it's not working. It's supposed to be. If it does, everybody's fucked. There's not much of lore left. Necrons will kill everything, so yeah, makes sense.
On a green glowing rock, the Necrons have come back to reclaim a galaxy they consider rightly theirs. But 60 million years of hypersleep have taken their toll. Many Necron dynasties awake with systems unrestored and huge swaths of their population's minds completely lost. Necron nobles wake with various mental faculties compromised, sometimes exhibiting traits similar to excessive paranoia, schizophrenia, or even dementia. One notable Necron...
They just took a freeze, man. You know, in today's world, people have this like, okay, if somebody dies, freeze them. One day we will have technology to revive them. Did they just take that element and put it into this? Like, they did went to slumber, but they didn't see what side effects gonna be. And this is side effects. This is why I love Warhammer. They take real world element from real history and implement into this shit. History, all the like entertainment, what do you call, whatever, media, like Terminator and shit.
Nemesaur Zandrek believes that he is still back on his home planet fighting off separatists and interlopers. See, Oberyn, the separatists come, attempting to outflank me as they did at the 4th Battle of Vindach. How they calculate that daubing themselves green and roaring like savages will produce a different outcome, I cannot fathom. But it is of no account. Ready, my legions. Another glorious victory shall soon be ours.
And in the other side, there are elders, craftful elders, whatever, like, okay, and slowly walking away. I'm not fighting that.
Other individuals, such as the esteemed Imatek the Stormlord, seek to usurp the newly returned Silent King for rightful ruler over the Necron race, believing his time has come to an end, while scientists and archaeologists like Trazen the Infinite and Orikin the Diviner spend thousands of years bickering over artifacts and petty squabbles. Truly, the Necrons are a faction of unthinkable, unimaginable power, held back entirely by their own hubris and 60 million years of stasis. It is
another shit that doesn't make sense to me, because they just went through Khatans. Khatans did the same shit, and that's how Necrons basically had the upper hand. You would think this is the same race who got fucked by everything, nature and everything in their whole life, Necrontyrs and everything. When they finally have the upper hand and they're powerful, they would have this kind of a unity. They won't do the same thing the Khatans did because they just went through that shit. But they're doing the kind of same thing. It's like, okay, I guess they have to nerf them some way, because otherwise Necrons would be untouchable.
That does not know of time, only of the ravages brought by it. A pharaoh of a dynasty may just be as frightened to awake completely mad as they are to be assassinated while they sleep. Thousands of years pass in an instant. There is a play, like an opera play, a retelling of the war in heaven in the Necron culture that takes 40 years to witness, because why leave? You have no need to eat or vacate your bowels. You are immortal, but you are soulless. Despite the Necrons' incredible technology, their mastery over time, reality itself, despite all of this, they still are missing a soul. And therein lies the biggest struggle. Most Necrons look to conquest the galaxy, kill the interlopers like the humans, Eldar, and Orcs that scrape at a fraction of their power. But the end goal for many, including Zarek himself, is to return the souls to their bodies, to undo the horrible fate he cast upon them. This is not the interest of all.
I like how Necrons are sitting there, just all the entertainment in the world, watching Drukharis basically doing unspeakable shit, and this and that doesn't do it for me. That doesn't do it. Like, I have really power, I can kill everyone. I don't feel anything. We need souls. That's the only thing, right? I have everything, but one thing I don't have is the soul, love.
Many simply wish to rule their dynasty with an iron fist and kill all they consider unworthy. But to many others, it is to undo decision that doomed them all. Before they can do that, there is a pest that needs exterminating. That is the fundamental understanding of the Necrons. They are so hyper advanced that their science borders on magic. They play with the fundamental aspects of reality and time. Their mastery of the physical galaxy is the strongest in the universe. Their weapons reduce people to the barest molecules, and they have devices capable of causing stars to supernova. They are unfathomably difficult to kill.
Their planet science killer weapons, literally Death Stars. They have Death Stars with them. That's insane.
As if you do fell one of their number, the living metal reknits itself, and the reanimation protocols allow it to come back alive once again. They're masters of teleportation, and often killing a Necron fully will just have its consciousness translocated back to their tomb world to await reassembly. Normally, they utilize large phalanxes of warriors and honorary combats, but some of them have fallen to various mind viruses. The destroyer cults are hell-bent on killing anything and everyone that lives with an overwhelming force. And then there's the flayed ones, Necrons cursed with I have no mouth and I must scream, a
flayed, look at the skin and everything.
Panic attack virus as the last laugh of Landogo, the Flayer Catan. Slowly losing their minds, they strip apart their foes and adorn their bodies with the skin of their enemies, trying to better return to their old feelings of flesh and blood. The Necrons are a degraded version of their mighty empire, and still one of the biggest threats in the galaxy. The only thing keeping them at bay currently is their awakening sickness and their infighting with no care to the timeline. But they are coming, and slowly.
I love how there's every Tyranid, who's stopping them? Oh, there are Imperium, there are Necrons, Elders, who's stopping them? There's many, everybody's kind of keeping everyone in check. Who's stopping Necrons? I don't know, luck, fingers crossed, I don't know what the fuck you want. Yeah, they're getting screwed by their own, reawakening and everything. If they did come back 100%, we're all screwed. There's nothing we can do. They'll literally walk their ass into, Imperium and just, stab the corpse of Emperor. That's what they're gonna do, right? If this shit becomes too powerful. Necrons are the only race they're like that. I guess demons are also like that. Demons, when they die, they don't really die. They go just back to warp and come back or some shit. But it's different level.
They plan to rid this galaxy of the vermin that inhabit it. My people shackled the stars and broke mortality when the species you sprang from had barely left the slime pools it spawned in. Our wars burned reality, and the dominion of our kings is without limit. The ground you tread on is not yours. It is ours. The war in heaven was a catastrophic time for the galaxy, and as stated in the above quote, burned reality. Of course, souls exist in Warhammer, and in the case of the Necrontyr, they were consumed by the star gods. This begs the question, however, if you were to pass on, expire, as one might put it, where would your soul go? The answer to this is the warp. In Warhammer, a soul is real. And so is hell, the afterlife, the Imperium, the Sea of Souls, the Imperium. All of these names refer to the dimension parallel to our own, known as the warp. Now, the warp is not like our reality. It does not follow the classic normalcy of time and space. It is defined as the Sea of Souls, and it acts like this in a more literal way than you can realize. To imagine the warp is to imagine the sea itself. Hell is real, and you can surf on it. It has a current and can become more dangerous depending on where you go and how bad the weather is. As the Imperium is a reflection of our reality and of our souls, all thoughts, all emotions, all feeling that goes with a soul is passed on into the warp. If an entire planet decides it's going to engage in a blood-fueled age of murder and gore, then the warp around that planet will be affected in a similar manner. It's not something that you can see. It is a parallel, not perpendicular dimension, but it is changing. To expose oneself to the warp for any period of time invites certain death outside of the most iron-willed of individuals, and to stare into it will drive one mad. Much like the open seas, things dwell in the warp. Whether these beings were always there and were just emboldened by the carnage of the galaxy, we can only speculate at. At a time, you could say it was—
Yeah, time might not be as stable thing in warp as we think. So those entities might not have been always there or always been there, or time is always in the— who the fuck knows? Warp is— I love how mysterious warp is.
More calm. But a certain faction's galactic war in heaven didn't do it any favors. Now the warp is turbulent, and its realms belong to a pantheon of gods known simply as
You know what? I'm gonna stop here. 30-minute mark. Man, it's 2-hour video. I need to make I'm gonna finish this in just 2 or 3 parts. Next video, I'm gonna make sure it's an hour long or something. I don't know. But yeah, it's part 1 that is 2 hours long. God damn. So we learned about Necrons in this one. I like how he's going from start to yeah. So he started from War in the Heavens, Necrontyrs, Necrons. Obviously, War of the Heavens created Chaos God, so now he's gonna talk about that, right? Soon he's gonna reach, Space Marines. In that ad, Gamers Up ad, was talking about Night Lords and whatever. I just got giddy because I don't know, I like the concept of Night Lords. I don't know why. And obviously, it's his favorite one as well. That's why he was talking about it. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Yeah. People, if you like my reaction, don't forget to like and subscribe so I know which type of videos should prioritize more. If you haven't seen other Warhammer reactions I did, check out the link in the description. I'll do this, I guess, today or in 24 hours. I don't know, but soon, right? This is so good. I hope he does part 2, in few months as well. Yeah, I love Warhammer lore. I mean, obviously, most of you already know that, I've made hundreds of reaction videos on it. But yeah, alright, I'll see you next time.